Welcome back to Gardening from Start to Finish, and this is Mike. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for their support on the Facebook page. This page has probably only been up about a week, and we've already had over 150 likes, which is pretty awesome. We're looking now at a double bloom azalea, and basically today I'm just going to do a quick little video tour around the property and show you some of the things that are in bloom here at this given point in time. I'm also going to try something a little bit different today. I'm going to use a video splice editor so you guys don't have to hear me ramble back and forth while I put everything together. So let's keep going. This is a variety of kale, which is called Red Russian, and if you recall in the very first video I had told you that, you know, we kind of got nipped by frost a little bit, and you can see right here this particular leaflet has decided to die off. I'm just going to pinch this off here actually. But the new growth that's come out from the Red Russian kale overall has been very productive. And we had a surprise visitor pop up right here, which is growing right beside another kale plant. And that's alright, we're going to let that go because that's a trillium. What variety that is, I'm not sure. This was something I had planted years ago before I even made the raised beds here in this part of the yard. And it's got some very interesting mottling on the leaf. But overall, since I last put this compost on, or I'm sorry, this manure, this bed has really taken off. The lettuce, I had also told you before, had got nipped a little bit as well. In the first video, it got nipped a little bit by the frost, and you can kind of see some, this is frost damage right here. You can see right here on this one, I don't know, actually you might not be able to see, but on this one here too, this leaf really got blanched out. You can see it's got some tip burn, but the new leaves that are popping out are really looking good. Radishes are all up, spaced appropriately, 2 to 3 inches apart. This is Cherry Belle, I believe, is the radish cultivar. And this lettuce, by the way, is Butter Crunch, which is a really great lettuce if you like a small head lettuce with a short growing season. A very kind of sweet texture to the lettuce overall. That's going to be a small head lettuce. And then down here, and I told you again before in the first video, but this is where I had planted some mesclun mix, which is basically what you get at the grocery store when you go and you know, get a bag of like baby spring greens or something of that nature. You can see there's different types here. It looks like a red lettuce, a green lettuce. They're all loose leaf varieties. Over here, the strawberries. And these are early glow strawberries, and they're popping up quite nicely at this point. You probably won't see a harvest from these until probably mid to, well, yeah, probably early to mid-June, something like that. But what we'll have to do with the first year of these being in the ground is actually pinch off some of the flowers in order to promote more new growth. So, and let's take a walk over this way. Sorry if it's all shaky. It's another type of kale we put in. This is curly, more of a curlied kale. This is typically what you get when you see at the grocery store, but what you get at the grocery store is not going to compare to growing your own product. There's many more micronutrients and macronutrients that you're going to get from growing your own food. And here we have some Swiss chard bright lights. As these grow, these are actually going to make their own different garden as far as leaf texture, leaf color. It really makes for an interesting garden to try to space these things for that interest, I guess. You've got the bluish green leaf of the kale. You've got the mix with the bright light Swiss chard, which I don't know if you can see this one over here. You know, it's got a very deep red vein. This one has a very deep ruby leaf. So this is going to create some texture and color in the garden as it begins to grow and mature. We've also got some lettuce, or I'm sorry, spinach that is popping up here. And I have that all along the pathway on each side. So that's going to kind of create like an entryway as the spinach begins to grow and mature. Here we have a red sales, which is a type of lettuce, which is a loose leaf lettuce. And some of this is actually ready to harvest right now. Again, when you go to your typical grocer and you buy a spring mix or something like that, it is usually the baby leaves that are harvested for that type of product. In the background, this is some broccoli that we planted, and I believe the variety I've got was Green Comet, which produces a nice solid head of broccoli, and then actually after you harvest the main head of broccoli, it sends off a lot of different side shoots. You'll notice underneath all these little teeny tiny seedlings popping up all over the place. Let me go out of here. There we go. All these little seedlings popping up. And last year, and you always have to remember what you had planted in the same spot the previous year, but last year I had a lot of blue, well, kind of a, not blue, but more violet colored petunias planted in here, many of which have obviously gone to seed. So we're going to let some of this stuff grow in between here, and what will happen is as we begin to harvest our broccoli, harvest our lettuce, we're going to have a nice show of petunia flowers to come and follow throughout the rest of the season. Here we have a red acres cabbage, which is actually an heirloom variety. As you can see, this stuff, from my second video, I was putting these in as transplants and had spread some manure around them for food. And we also had bright light Swiss chard again. This one's got a nice deep reddish colored mid vein to it. But this whole bed has really taken off in a very short amount of time. And again, it's due to that concrete wall that runs along the length of the house. It's heating up the soil faster. So I've had to keep a close eye on this as far as its moisture content, but these plants have really taken off in a very short amount of time. This is almost a good 2 weeks worth of growth in 1 week that we've seen here. And again, this is something that's going to create some nice contrast with the bluish green leaf and the red mid vein on the cabbage, and then the different colors and textures that you get out of the bright light Swiss chard. Now I've been working and developing this property since we moved here probably about 10 years ago. And these here are dogwoods, white dogwood actually, Cornus alba, that is about ready to come into bloom. The actual flower buds have just begun to pop open, and these were here initially when we moved in, and what I've tried to do is kind of garden around them, make them kind of a center feature. We have one right here, sorry, moved the camera a little too fast, one right here, there's another one right here. So, and I've also put, this is an eastern white pine, Pinus strobus, and I planted that along with it because as these dogwoods come into flower, the white and green textures and colors really stand out. Makes for nice interest. This one here, and it's hard for me to see what I'm doing here, guys, because it's sunny out here and I can barely see the screen, so to speak. This coming out here, here we go, I can see that. This is a sand cherry, which has a deep purplish red leaf. It's Prunus cistenna, and it gets a nice little white fragrant flower on it. Well, shortly after these leaves pop out. Might be hard to see, but there are buds that are about ready to pop out here with white flowers all over it. Now this particular prunus I've let go for a while, probably too long. I haven't pruned it properly. It's gotten a little wild and unmanicured. So I think what I'm going to do after this thing flowers this spring is actually pollard this, which will be another video all in itself. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut this thing back to some of the main branches and let this basically rejuvenate itself, and in the process it's gonna make for a more manicured plant overall. Lastly, I wanted to give a shout out to a friend of mine who owns a daylily nursery actually in Cross Lanes, West Virginia. He sent me these daylilies last year. They are garden grown. It's not your typical tissue culture daylily that you get at a lot of different places. Not to name names, but mostly big box stores. This one is called Always a Pleasure. He sent me these last year. I believe it was in the fall I got these from him. And as you can see, I planted these things in probably about a 2.5 gallon pot, and they are roughly almost already a foot tall up out of the pot, which is pretty amazing for a daylily. So give him a shout out or check him out on Facebook. His Facebook page is called Mr. Fancy Plants Nursery, and that's Mike McDonald out of Cross Lanes, West Virginia. He does a really good job and has a lot of different varieties of very interesting daylilies, of which I love because they're so hardy to begin with. You know, it's a great plant overall. So that's it for today, guys. All right, thanks a lot.